So yesterday I kind of crashed out. I kind of cried because I'm taking a little bit of a hit when it comes to my mental health. And I've been using something like Twitter and like the drama and so on kind of to distract myself, like investing into these things in order to not worry about myself. Just ignore all of the actual real issues that I'm struggling with when it comes to still dealing with gender dysphoria, still having like social anxiety and childhood trauma that like still messes with me. When you have, you know, situations where you say a lot of things, you have a lot of people who don't like you for the things that you're saying, and you constantly get involved in everything to the point where people are making stuff up about you, faking things about you, and it makes you paranoid, right? Like it kind of feels like I have to be on top of everything. I need to know what people who hate me are saying about me and how they're talking about me in order to kind of protect myself. And so I was like talking about how when you're constantly involved, when you're constantly like diving into like this form of negativity, it drains you. It exhausts you. And then like there's the other like social component, the thing that is like a way bigger than me when it comes to like how are trans people being treated in this random country, what is happening there, right? With like the constant stream of like a bad news when it comes to the LGBTQ community, you're just constantly scared that like you're not on top of the news cycle, you're not knowing something, and maybe something is going on that affects you, your loved ones, you know, maybe somebody is being like affected by that, and if you're not on top of everything, then you're missing out. Makes it tricky for you to actually just enjoy life. I still struggle when it comes to like gender dysphoria. I struggle when it comes to transitioning. There are people who are struggling to get access to the life-saving medical treatment that they desperately need. There are people who are constantly struggling, and as like a form of like escapism, people are going on social media. For a lot of people, online is like the only way to have like any form of like social interaction. But it kind of isolates you further and it makes you more alone, right? Maybe you have like a toxic, hostile environment. Maybe you don't have like friends in real life that you can count on, that you can open up about. Maybe you're scared to come out to. Like, these are valid problems. And, you know, growing up for me, I was like, oh, I'll never be a real girl anyway. So there's like no point, right? I shouldn't even transition. I shouldn't even think about transitioning. But at least online, if I play like MMOs and so on, I can at least play like a female character. And, you know, as long as I don't talk with people, you know, they're just going to treat me like any other woman. So I can at least online be who I want to be in real life. And that's not really a good way to live life. It makes you numb. It makes you obviously like addicted to these forms of escapism for like these coping mechanisms and so on. And it just drains you. It physically exhausts you. And things have been getting so much worse with the rise in misogyny, racism, transphobia, and so on. Like, people are just, you know, punching down constantly, get boosted, get elevated by all of like these social media platforms, have like these talking points normalized even further, and you're in a point where like, okay, I don't have like access to a support system. I don't have access when it comes to like finances. I don't have access when it comes to medically transitioning and so on. And all I see online is just hate, right? Like, I just want to live my life. I just want to exist. I want to exist as myself. But like, I can't even be online. I can't even play games without things being negatively impacted by the fact that I'm trans. It makes it difficult to just keep going, for you to see like any hope when it comes to a better future. It doesn't give you a reason to live, right? Like, you're constantly surrounded by negativity. You see like all of the horrible things in the world. Transitioning is hard, right? Gender dysphoria will never be fixed by you transitioning. right? You will never get your childhood back. You will never get like the same opportunities and experiences that like cis people got to experience the entire time, right? You have to put in effort. You have to work really hard in order to get closer to an ideal that cis people just take for granted. And then people are invalidating your experience. They're saying that, oh, you just need to like live with that. Oh, it's just a phase. You're going to grow out of it. I came out to my mom back in the day and she was like, no, you're not. I would have known, trying to like gaslight me into believing that actually I'm non-binary because I could never be a girl. It's so weird. And then even if you do have like HRT, it will never undo the damage that testosterone, that the wrong puberty has done to you. I think a lot of people underestimate how much changes are actually caused by testosterone when it comes to your facial hair, that you now need laser every 5-6 weeks or so on, because otherwise people are going to say that you have like a full-grown beard and you're actually a real manly man. It changes your larynx size, your vocal cords, to the point where like, oh, you now need to put in a lot of effort, and if you can't manage to do that, maybe you're going to need a voice change or vocal surgery. Otherwise, you're going to like stand out and you're not going to meet my expectations of what a woman has to sound like. And if you do use a voice changer, I'm going to say that you sound weird, and I'm going to call you out on you having a voice changer and you actually being a man and a catfish. Actually, changes to your body shape, to your height, your hairline, like all of these things are being affected by testosterone. And even if you do start going on estrogen, it's not going to undo a lot of these changes. And so you have to spend years to chase after an ideal that feels really far away from you. And even if you get closer to it, even if you have like the right genetics and you were able to like transition soon enough where testosterone didn't do as much damage, maybe you're putting in a lot of effort into like voice training and so on, people are still going to invalidate you because you cannot meet the societal expectation of like reproduction. So you're like chasing after a goalpost that will always be moved. And when you see like a lot of like trans spaces where people are just miserable when, you know, hurt people, hurt others, I just feel sad. And I can see myself in that as well. I know the gender envy that comes when you see trans women who, you know, are goals. The gender envy that comes from like just wishing you were cis, that this gender dysphoria is just going to disappear. And I know how difficult it is to just keep going. Transitioning is for you to feel more comfortable in your body, but also the other component is for society to see you in a way that matches your gender. But the fact that you're trans will always impact some things, right? Like applying for a job, for instance, I will always have to think if I didn't get a job because I'm trans. That's always going to be a thought inside of my brain, right? When it comes to relationships, dating, and so on, is me being trans going to be a deal breaker? Is that going to put me in danger? That is always going to be a thought. And it makes it difficult for people to, you know, just find joy in being who they are, into people appreciating the good things in life, right? Because if you're being tracked down by gender dysphoria and it causes you to have like social anxiety, it causes you to have depression, for you to feel numb, for you to essentially not really feel like you're experiencing life as yourself, it makes it difficult for you to see like the good things, for you to focus on the things that you can control, for you to develop passions. For me, before transitioning, all that I could think of my entire life is how I didn't want to live as a boy, go through my puberty, and grow up to be a man and live as a man. That was the main reason why I was just like, I was sleeping a lot, I was playing games a lot, I was daydreaming a lot. I didn't care about like any achievements in schools. I didn't care about developing a skill because I just sat down and I was like so dragged down by my mental health, by like depression and so on, that I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to learn anything. And then 5 years later, because I was like still thinking about like, oh, if I only started back then, if I only started to draw back then, if I only started to learn this language back then, I could be fluent now. I could be good now. I know how difficult it is. So I started HT like 4 years ago, and I still have dysphoria. Like it feels like it just never goes away. And when I was like pre-transition, I was thinking of like, oh, if I only started my legal name change, if I only did this, if I only had like all of these things, then I could start my life. Then I could do this. But the thing is, like, when it comes to transitioning, it just never stops. Like, it feels like your gender dysphoria, it's going to get alleviated. It's going to get better, right? It's going to make things worthwhile. But when it comes to like voice training, I have people where I'm like jealous of their voice and they're like, I'm not happy yet. There are people where I'm like, oh, you're actually goals, and they have like FFS, and I'm like, what did you need to change? Why are you like unhappy? And it's just because people are never actually going to be fully satisfied. If you constantly just focus on you transitioning, you're not actually like living your life. Depending on your dysphoria, if your dysphoria is severe, you have like bottom dysphoria and so on. Like for me, for instance, before having had bottom surgery, I couldn't even imagine myself being in a relationship. So I was like restricting myself. I still restrict myself to some degree because I'm still like uncomfortable with my body. But it's more manageable now after like bottom surgery. But it feels like, you know, you have to hide who you are and just hope that like someday everything is just going to get better. But things are not going to get better if you're like doom scrolling on TikTok or Twitter and so on and see like the constant abuse. If I tweet something and you check my replies, you're going to see 100 comments of people just calling me a man. Like that can't be good for anyone's mental health, right? Like obviously I get like all of the replies. I don't really see it because I don't get like the notification for it unless I follow you. But I see how it affects other people, how there are people who follow me interacting with people who just are most likely just bots, trying to like fight with them to get them to change their mind, because it feels like at least you're doing something. You're being productive in some form, but it makes you miserable. Like, I have learned that if somebody wants to misgender me, go ahead, misgender me. I don't care. If somebody calls me a man, I don't care. But it sucks a lot when there are people who are going to read the replies to these things and just see so much negativity and be like, oh, I want to help out, so I'm going to correct this person. Sometimes it's okay to just log off. I know I'm speaking from a point of like somebody who's addicted to socials, but you know, sometimes it's okay to just log off. And not as like the first thing in the morning, take out your phone and scroll through Twitter and see, while I was sleeping, what did the Trump admin do this time? How is the world getting worse this time? Like sometimes it's okay to just not have to deal with that, because as somebody who tries to advocate for trans rights, as somebody who wants to create like a better society for trans people, it sucks a lot when on a macro scale you cannot do anything. I don't really have the platform, I don't have like the wealth and so on to combat the fact that like ultra conservative groups like fossil billionaires and so on are pumping money into like anti-trans legislation and anti-trans propaganda. I cannot undo all of like the damage that these groups are causing, and cannot fix people who want to be brainwashed, who want to be stuck in a cult because it makes them feel more powerful when they can punch down on trans people. And with everything being like so connected, with everything being like so constantly online, it kind of turns you into like a mindless drone where you're just like doom scrolling, and just I was in the state of survival, of like the state of autopilot my entire life because of dysphoria. And now that like some things feel more achievable, I still kind of fall back into the habit of just wanting to be on autopilot because it's kind of difficult to just be with myself, to process the things that I struggle with. Obviously, I feel like I'm in a very privileged position. The fact that I can even do that, the fact that I had bottom surgery, the fact that I was able to change my legal name, the fact that I am on HRT and so on. Like, I feel privileged, but then there are a lot of things that are also like dragging me down where it feels like I'm not making the most out of what has been given to me. So when it comes to, you know, me being vocal on social media and so on, me being like involved in all of these things, I kind of feel like, well, at least I'm doing something, right? Kind of drains you from your joy, makes it that you're never actually resting. It makes it that you're always like on edge, right? And I think that a lot of trans people right now, especially those that are, you know, as chronically online as I am, a lot of us are just on edge. And that's not a good thing. It kind of makes everything like so much harder. It makes it so everybody's just miserable constantly. It makes it so everybody's like deterred from even pursuing their life because people are just worried that they're going to go outside and they're going to get hate crimed. In reality, what you see online doesn't necessarily reflect society in the real world. Maybe that kind of like depends on where you live, obviously, right? If you have unsupportive parents, you not only see like the hate for trans people online, but you also see it in your immediate environment, in your own family. And that sucks. That can be pretty detrimental for your health. And because it's like such a common thing that people, you know, in the trans community are struggling with unsupportive people, with discrimination and so on, it kind of makes it hard to see like the joy that you can actually experience in life. The friendship that you can develop by being yourself and embracing who you are. The people that you can find that actually appreciate who you are for, you know, not the mask that you're pretending to be, but actually the real you. For me, when it came to transitioning, it was always like, I don't really want to present femininely. I don't really want to do all of like the work and so on until a certain goalpost is met, until I have like HRT and then some results from it, and then I can do all of these things. Then I can live my life. Once I reach this point, then I'll be happy. And what you're essentially just doing is like postponing you working on your mental health. I've been trying to like resolve the mismatch. I've been like kind of occupying my mind with just, okay, I'm going to go on HRT and then I will just let my body do its thing, and then eventually I'm going to wake up and everything is going to be fine and okay. But that's not how transitioning works. You do have to work on like the mental aspect and also like feel better inside of your body, right? Like I gained a lot of weight during like my depression and so on, and then just like losing a bunch of it, it made me feel more comfortable in my skin. I'm not there yet, but it helps actually a lot if you take care of your body. So yeah, I'm kind of trying to like figure out how I'm going to improve, how I'm going to get to a point where I can, I guess, be happier with myself. And also when it comes to, I don't know, maybe trying to find a passion or hobby that is not related to like, how can I use this for content? That's kind of where I am at when it comes to my my mental health. Before transitioning, it was just like, I was just like constantly in the low, but it didn't feel like as hard because it felt so unachievable for me to ever be myself that I've just given up. Now, knowing that like transitioning is a thing makes it less impossible. It still feels pretty easy to be caught in like this entire mess online when it comes to politics and so on. Like I can't really change anything, kind of helpless in like these aspects, but there are some things that I can do. I can work a little bit on myself to make certain things a little bit more manageable. I can try to share my experiences so other people feel seen. Maybe it's not about like fixing everything. Sometimes Sometimes it's okay to just be visible. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Obviously, it's a difficult topic for me, but yesterday it was just like, I was kind of crying a lot. I will probably upload the segment unedited without like any fancy things unlisted on my channel, and I'm going to like link it here if I'm going to edit this one. But yeah, it's difficult, but I also want to get to a point where I can teach people that it will get better, right? It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be ideal. It just needs to like, you just need to be finding a way to be alive. And there are little things that like help you with that. My community, for instance, really good at helping me wake up in the morning and have like a reason to keep existing. That's what I wanted to talk about. That's what I wanted to cry about.